All right. Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 8th, and it is 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Rob had just asked what time zone I'm in, and right now I am in Eastern Time. So it is 10 a.m. Eastern. And this week I am jumping on with you to talk about your kidney specialist, your nephrologist, how you can make the most of that really precious and brief amount of time that you have with them in your appointments. So before I dive in case you don't know me, my name is Jen Hernandez. I'm a renal dietitian. So I'm a registered dietitian here in the United States. I'm also board certified in renal nutrition. And the way that came about was by working with kidney patients through earlier stages into dialysis and transplant and working with them on their best kidney care. And then I took an exam to prove really what I knew what I was talking about. So I'm so excited to be coming on and talking with you all today about this because I get this question a lot. Really, people just want to know what they should be asking, what they should be talking with their kidney specialist about. And it is really important when you go in and you have that appointment with your nephrologist or your kidney specialist that you have a good game plan set up and you know exactly what to ask, how to prepare, because so many people, myself included, if I go into an appointment and I am not prepared, I don't have my questions written out, I don't bring the things I need to bring with me, then the appointment is kind of a waste. And I end up leaving, I get in the car or I sign off telehealth and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask this, I forgot to mention this, we didn't talk about this. There's so many things that can come up. So the reason I wanted to do this is to help you all make the most, because a lot of times, for those of you that do work closely with your nephrologist or if you've been to those appointments, you know they are very, very brief. You might have some time waiting, but the actual time you get with your nephrologist, with your kidney specialist, is very, very short. So I'm going to dive right in. Just so you know, you will be able to find all the information that I'm talking about this morning at plantpoweredkidneys.com/kidney-specialist-tips. That is our most recent blog post. So I'm going to be going through there. And a really great thing to know about what we have there now is there are 2 free downloads that you can get without putting in your email address. So you don't need to be a part of our newsletters or anything like that. If you don't want to, you can still get these free downloads without any strings attached. It's just there for you at the website at plantpoweredkidneys.com. If you don't have the kidney specialist tips, you can just search kidney specialist and that article will come up. So I hope that that helps out. And I will definitely, I'll just keep this up at the bottom here for right now. That way you'll have that information. Okay. Now, as I get started, feel free to drop in questions in the comments and I will keep an eye on those as we go through. All right. So as we get started, first of all, what is a kidney specialist? Well, a kidney specialist is another term for a nephrologist. Nephrologist is somebody who works with people who have chronic kidney disease, and it can be various stages of chronic kidney disease. It can also be dialysis. So one of the roles of a nephrologist many times is to also be the medical director of a dialysis clinic. And if you're in dialysis, you see the nephrologist come in, see everybody, and then leave. They have so many places to go. There's a lot of roles and responsibilities when it comes to nephrology. I mean, they also do rounds in the hospitals and taking care of the patients that get admitted there. So they're really jumping around all over the place, which is, again, a reason why you really want to value that time that you have with them, because they are making time to meet with you, but they have a lot of places to go. So a kidney specialist or a nephrologist will go through all those different areas, seeing all different stages. Hi, Patricia, all different stages of kidney disease. Most commonly, and I hear this a lot as well, people with earlier stages of kidney disease, and this is stage 1, 2, even through stage 3, are not typically referred to a nephrologist. So it's typically stages 4 and 5 that are referred to a nephrologist. But if you're in stage 3, you can ask your primary doctor for a referral to a nephrologist. They may or may not agree to that. They may have a different plan. They may want to do some double testing because, again, with the diagnosis of kidney disease, you can't just take one test. Hi, Cheryl. You can't just take one test and assume that that is the case. So it has to be retested, tested and retested to verify any kind of diagnosis first. And that's probably going to be the first step that your PCP, your primary doctor, is going to want to do. So make sure that any of those labs are confirmed before you are looking at getting a specialist brought in, like a kidney specialist. So if you have kidney stones, which is kind of a different thing, it's still related to kidneys, but if you have kidney stones, you may, hi Kix, you may also be referred to a urologist. A urologist is somebody who specializes in the bladder, which is where kidney stones are occurring. So that is going to be potentially a different type of referral that you may get depending on your kidney situation. But make sure whatever is happening, you talk with your primary doctor who is going to be really managing a lot of these referrals and taking care of these guidelines to help coordinate your care and oversee the big picture for you. Now, we're talking about nephrology referrals. I do want to make a little side note for dietitian referrals. Dietitians don't have the same requirements or guidelines as physicians do. So I said that nephrologists typically will only see stage 4 and 5. Dietitians, we actually prefer to see earlier stages because we can take care of more problems. We can help control more things the earlier stages. I see clients through all different stages, through transplant, through dialysis, down to stage 1, all across the board, but there's different things that we're looking at in those different cases. So I'll just say really quickly, if your doctor is saying you don't need a dietitian referral, you can argue that and say, actually, that's not the case. Everybody in all stages of kidney disease should be seeing a dietitian, a renal dietitian. So please push for that. Please, you need to be an advocate. If you let them just say, no, you don't need it, you're not going to get the referral. You can go and you can seek out a dietitian yourself, which many dietitians will take those self referrals. But you're going to want to have your doctor really on board, at least playing along with the team when we're building this healthcare team for you. Okay, so getting into how to prepare for your kidney specialist appointment. Now, the first thing is going to be you need to bring a current list of all your medications and your supplements. It's really, really important that you are putting everything out there for the nephrologist when you meet your kidney specialist, because they will want to see everything that your kidneys are taking care of, everything they're filtering, everything that's coming through the blood that is being taken care of by the kidneys. So there is nothing too small to include on your medication and supplement list. And when I say supplements, I mean anything over the counter. If you're taking Tylenol every now and then, you can write down Tylenol on that medication list. If you're taking an omega-3, make sure you put that down. This is one of the free downloads that I do have on the blog. It's basically a template where you can list out your medications. You do want to list out the doctor that's prescribed them. That's the doctor that's overseeing the medication. And then it's important to note the start dates, the stop dates, the reason why you're taking it. This is something that I test my clients on quite often, is when I see they're on a certain medication, I'll say, what's this about? What are you taking this for? And if they don't know, that's a really good conversation to go back to that prescribing doctor and speak with them about, because you need to understand why you're taking certain medications and what the goal is. You need to know what the goal is for those medications so you understand what the plan is, what you're doing for your body. So this is part of that template. Good morning, Lorena. This is part of that template that we will include on the blog for you. There's just a graphic there. It has a little image of the download. You click it, you get that download. No questions asked. Hi, Deborah. All right, so we have that as your free medication supplement tracker. Again, all supplements. If you're taking a protein powder, if you're taking some kind of like workout supplement or something, whatever it is, make sure you list that down for your nephrologist. And this is a really great resource that you can also use for any of your doctors. I do recommend that, and this is kind of getting into the next guidelines, the next recommendations I have with preparation is, when you have these records of your blood pressure, your blood sugars, if you're tracking those, it's great to have what I call a health book. Basically a notebook. It could be like a 3-ring binder. It could be a spiral notebook, whatever the case is. If you have this document, this keeper of all your information, you can include that medication and supplement list in there. And then every time you go to a different appointment, you are basically bringing in your own client file. You have all of your information that you're sharing with all of your practitioners. So again, the next thing is when you're going to your nephrology appointment, bring a current record of your blood sugars or your blood pressures or both, whatever you've been already keeping track of, whatever your primary doctor has been encouraging you to record. Definitely bring that log to your appointment. Something that many people are familiar with is called white coat hypertension. This basically means when we go to the doctor's office, we inherently get nervous and our blood pressure goes up. So you may have experienced this. And if you have, comment below and just say, oh yeah, I've definitely had some white coat hypertension. But it's very, very common. So I'm sure people will be commenting in either those watching live or if you're watching the replay. This is something that will kind of be offset if you can bring in your own record of your normal blood pressures that you see at home. So if you do show that high blood pressure in the office, but you say, oh, but wait, I've been tracking my blood pressure for the past week, and these are what the numbers typically look like. That's going to give your nephrologist a lot more solid information on what to go off of rather than just that one vital they took in the office. So bring those tracks and records, bring those records and make sure you have the current tracks on hand. You have those current logs. So again, the other tip I have is a health book. Again, this is some kind of notebook, spiral binder, journal, 3-ring binder, whatever the case is, where you can record your own notes. You can record your notes from your meeting. This is where it's also great to be writing down those questions ahead of time. So when you have upcoming appointments that you're already making notes, like, yeah, I got to remember to ask this. I got to remember to ask this. I got to ask about this medication and this plan. That's really going to streamline your conversation and make sure that you are not missing out on anything in particular. Because again, if you don't have it out there, it's much easier. You're already having the white coat hypertension. You're already kind of stressed. It's much easier to go into the appointment and then all of a sudden kind of be shell-shocked and not remember what you're trying to talk about, not remember everything you want to discuss with your nephrologist, with your kidney specialist. So having that health book that keeps everything together and really helps you feel organized and maintain your care is really, really helpful. Another thing that you can include in the health book is like a food journal. So if you're doing pen to paper food journal, you can do that. If you're using Chronometer, you could print off a few of your most recent days to show the doctor, okay, this is kind of what I've been up to lately. And maybe this is associated with why my numbers look this way. It really helps give your kidney specialist a better picture of what's going on. And when they see that diet, they might see some things of, oh yeah, actually this person really could benefit in seeing a dietitian because they're missing whatever it is, or they're eating too much of something. And then they send you to us, and us as the dietitian, we are the experts to determine what really is the situation and get back to the doctor. Okay, so those are some of the tips I have on preparing. The last tip I have on preparing for your nephrology appointment, your kidney specialist appointment, is to practice some deep breaths before you have your session. So before you go to the appointment, and then even right before you go in, if you're sitting in the waiting room, if you're sitting in front of the computer and sometimes the telehealth, they'll have the virtual waiting rooms. And if you're waiting, just some nice deep breaths. It really, really helps to center yourself, and it provides a much better experience for your body and your brain to be able to take in the information. Really, it really, really does. I have a whole other article on plant-powered kidneys about gratitude meditation. So if you want to take a look at that, you can go to plantpoweredkidneys.com and then just search gratitude meditation. And that might be something that is really helpful. That's actually another free download that we have. Many of our blogs have free downloads that are linked in relation to what the article is about. So that is going to be the last tip I have for your preparation for your kidney specialist appointment. Next, we have the questions, what you want to specifically ask your kidney specialist. Now, many of these questions are going to be pertaining to the first session, the first appointment you have with your kidney specialist, but it's not necessarily always. I mean, if you have been seeing your kidney specialist for a while, this could be a great refresher of kind of remembering why you're there in the first place. So the very first question that I recommend is, what caused my kidney issues? What happened? Why are my kidneys failing? Why are my kidneys damaged? That is so important to not only know, but really understand. And I talk with my clients about this. I encourage everybody to understand what is causing your kidney damage, because that is the root problem that should be addressed. That's causing the damage to your kidneys. Therefore, to help your kidneys, you want to help that root problem. Whether it's blood sugar related, high blood pressure related, autoimmune related, whatever the case is, make sure you understand. And if your doctor doesn't know, ask if you need to have other kinds of testing. That's another great question to ask to figure out more details about your kidney health. If you should have other types of testing, not necessarily to verify, because if you're seeing a nephrologist, you're probably already verified to be in a certain kidney disease stage. But is there other kinds of testing to just further dive into what's going on that both you and your kidney specialist would benefit from? Next, kind of goes in line with what caused it. You want to ask, what stage of kidney disease am I in? This is really important. While it's not the end all be all, and again, with even the renal diet, just because you're in a certain stage doesn't mean you have a cookie cutter diet like everybody else, because there's other factors that are involved, such as your potassium, your phosphorus, your blood pressure, your blood sugars, your weight, your activity level, your gender, all of these things, tons of different factors. But understanding what stage you're in will give you a guideline on where you're at on this kidney disease spectrum. And then also looking at, when you track your kidney disease, when you track the stages, you are going to want to see the progression. And that's going to be in part tracking the labs and having that communication with your doctor. Okay, what stage am I in? It's a great question to just ask routinely at these appointments. Another question, which ties into the preparation for your appointment, is, why am I taking this medication? And when I say that, I mean whatever medication you have a question about. And I would really encourage you, if you have some time today, tonight, this weekend, I would really encourage you, write out your medications and your supplement on that free download that we have on the blog. Write them out and test yourself. And as you're filling in one of those columns is the purpose. Why am I taking this medication? If you have a blank spot there and you really don't feel confident in writing down why you're taking a certain medication, again, go back to that prescribing doctor, send them a message, book an appointment, make sure you understand. And if you don't, the next time you go in, this is a question to ask. Why am I taking this medication? What's the purpose? What's the goal or the outcome? What's the timeline? Is this a forever medication? Is this a temporary medication? Is there any possibility I could come off of this medication? I'll tell you what, if they say it could be possible, and if they say dietary changes, hello, refer me to a dietitian, please. That is a great opening into getting that referral to a dietitian, because if they're telling you need to make changes to your diet to potentially come off of medication, who better than to work with a dietitian that specializes in helping you make the right diet changes? That is really the importance and the key. So you can kind of catch them there if they tell you to make diet changes, but then they say you don't need a dietitian referral. That's not adding up. So why am I taking this medication? Whatever medication it is, make sure you ask. Okay, the next question, and this goes into the health book that you have, your journal, whatever tracker you're using. You want to ask, what should I be tracking? And when should I be tracking it? How often should I be tracking it? While it's really good to be tracking certain metrics, it is a great plan to communicate that with your nephrologist, because they might say, let's say you're tracking your blood pressure, which is fantastic, and you check it every morning. Your doctor says, actually, you're taking a blood pressure medication that helps you with your evening blood pressure. I want to see your blood pressure at the end of the day. So even though it's great you've been checking your morning blood pressure, your doctor actually wants to see it in the evening. So discussing that with them, understanding not only what you should be tracking, but when, how often, and again, kind of setting up that game plan between the two of you. You have the homework of tracking it. They will have the homework of analyzing it and making adjustments based on what you are seeing in your own logs, whatever that may be. So blood pressure could be one. Again, blood sugars. You might need to track your weight for fluid balance. You might need to track your medications. Maybe they say, I want to see how frequently you're taking your blood sugar medication or your insulin or something like that. They might ask for more logs, and it's great to, again, open that conversation with the nephrologist so that the next time you come back to that appointment, you know that you're going to be bringing exactly what they asked for. You're going to be bringing really valuable information. Okay, the next question that you can ask your kidney specialist: how often can I get my labs drawn? And this is a huge question. I get this all the time from people on social media, from clients, all sorts of people. This is going to be up to your doctor, but it would be great for you to open up that conversation, because they might not make it a conversation. They might just say, this is when you're going to get it, or they might not say anything at all. And I've had that come up quite a bit with some clients that didn't realize. They said, oh, I don't know when my next labs are going to be drawn. So open this up and asking it in this how form, how often can I get my labs drawn, is really showing interest in your health and interest in your labs. And it's really great, especially if you you tack on this little part after the question and you say, I'm really working on making changes to my diet, or I'm working on making changes to my lifestyle. And if you give specifics, that'll be really helpful. But that will incentivize the nephrologist of, oh, I really want to support you. And I do want to see if your changes are really beneficial, if it's something that's going to be helping you. So yeah, let's get your labs checked in a month or 2 months or 3 months. Again, it's going to be up to the doctor. And if you missed my Instagram live with Dr. Blake of the Cooking Doc, we did talk a little bit about this as well. And he's a nephrologist, and he also said he loved it when his patients would come to him and have these very proactive questions, because it really keeps him on his toes too. So asking these kind of questions is a really great thing to be really engaged, show your nephrologist that you do care about your kidney health, so that you are there. You're not just checking in, checking out, getting on with the day. If you're there and engaged, asking these questions, it's going to go a long way for you. All right, so the next thing in relation to labs is, what should I track within my lab results? You guys know there are so many types of renal labs, and we have several articles on Plant Powered Kidneys about the renal function panel, about your vitamins and your minerals, about phosphorus and potassium. We have a ton of articles on there that dive into a lot of these different types. But that can be really overwhelming, right? So talk with your nephrologist about, okay, let's drill down specifically. What should I be looking at? What should I be monitoring more closely? And that can give you some more insight into maybe what you're doing day to day at home, because the labs are metrics that are just spot checking what's going on and assessing at that time. But we know that you can't just do kind of like a crash diet. You can't just do it for one day and then expect all these changes to happen. You have to practice these changes and then see those results. So finding out from your doctor specifically what you should be focusing on will help give you a priority list of what to focus on. And that is going to hopefully alleviate a lot of the stress when it comes to taking care of your kidney health. When you think of, I just need to focus on potassium right now. The doctor is concerned about my potassium, and I'm going to be tracking my potassium. I'm going to be doing a better job with keeping an eye on potassium. And that's going to help kind of settle everything else down, because you have a very specific goal in mind. And then when you go to your next appointment, you'll know, I've got to look at my potassium labs. And that's what we're really focusing on. So there is that another lab related question. Okay, I have 3 more questions. So we're getting towards the end of it. The next question is, drumroll, will you please refer me to a renal dietitian? Now, this really can't be asked enough. Hey, good morning. This can't be asked enough. Really, really, you can ask every single appointment. And again, the answer should not be no. It's not their job to sign off on that. It's our job. So they refer you to us, and then we will get back to the doctor and say, yes, they should continue nutrition services, or no, they do not need nutrition services at this time. That is us to write off that. It's their job to get you those referrals. So please, please, please ask your doctor, especially, like I mentioned, especially if they are telling you you could have changes in your medication just by changing your diet. That is a great time to say, well, okay, will you refer me to a renal dietitian, please? And if you need help finding those, I do have dietitian directories on plant-fired kidneys. Personally, right now, I am not taking clients. I'm pretty busy, so I'm unable to take clients, but I do have lists of other renal dietitians, both in the US and in other countries, that see people with kidney disease. So you can take a look at that, and that link is also within the blog. Okay, next, another really great question that I don't think a lot of people ask of, but you absolutely should. So this question, can I get a copy of the note from today with the details about our plan? So as healthcare providers, we provide a note and a note summary about our plan. So with my private clients, at the end of each of our sessions, I give them a nutrition treatment plan note that basically includes what we talked about, what our plan is moving forward, and my recommendations for the next time we should meet. Your doctor will have the same thing. So requesting that copy of that note and keeping it in your health book will be really, really helpful, because if you go to another healthcare provider, let's say in the next week or something, you will have that copy of that note from your nephrologist that you can then pass on to your other provider. Now, providers can connect between their offices. Sometimes it's pretty slow. So it might not happen by the time you get to that next appointment, which is why I do recommend that you carry that copy with your health book to your next appointment. So you're having these copies. And then as you're getting newer notes in, I don't expect your notebook to get bigger and bigger and bigger with all of these notes. You can shred the old ones. That way you don't have so many of them. But at least a few of the most recent notes can be really, really helpful and super easy in sharing with another provider when you're seeing them at that other appointment. So highly recommend asking for a copy of the note so that you understand exactly what the doctor wrote out that's related to your plan. And that's just going to be further backup or more information related to your plan itself from the practitioner's point of view, from your kidney specialist point of view. Okay, last question I have. When should my next appointment be, and how often should I be seeing you? So it's really, really important that you don't leave the kidney specialist's office without having that time, that day listed out. And many places will have their front office schedule your next appointment, but it's great to understand the frequency of when and how frequently they want to meet with you. For people in earlier stages, and earlier could even be, in some cases, it could even be like stage 4, or even potentially stage 5. It might not be 3 months or 6 months before you see the nephrologist again. So take that as a compliment, because they're not going to want to see you so often if you're not in a high risk health situation. So if your doctor says, I don't need to see you for another 3 months, that gives you 3 months of time to be working on other things. And that's kind of where I, as a renal dietitian, would fit in that time to help keep up with your changes and your progress. But make sure that you have that timeline listed out, you understand how frequently, and you have that next appointment scheduled. Very, very important. So that's the summary of the questions that I recommend that you ask your kidney specialist. Again, it could be the very first appointment that you have. It could also be the 5th, the 10th, the 20th appointment. It's great to touch base on a lot of these important considerations to show and to be involved in your own healthcare. Now, I do have another free download. It's a one-page download that has these questions listed out along with space to write in those answers, and you can print out as many copies as you want. Again, no email is required. You just go to the URL that I have listed right down here, plantpoweredkidneys.com/kidney-specialist-tips. And you can scroll down and you'll see download a free copy of these questions. So you click the image, you get your free download. All right, that is a run through of my recommendations when it comes to meeting with your kidney specialist. So I hope this has been informative to you. I hope this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, please, please, please post them in the comments. Make sure you post them in the Facebook group for Plant Powered Kidneys. I will do my best to get to all the questions and provide some responses or some ideas and guides on what to do. But nephrologists, kidney specialists are very, very important of your healthcare team, especially if you have kidney disease, especially if you have late stage kidney disease. Again, early stage may or may not be referred to a kidney specialist yet. It could be something the primary wants to keep a closer eye on for a while, but you can still talk with even your primary about these questions as well. So get that information, make sure you print those out. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I hope this was a really helpful chat for you all today. I will be back again live this same time next week to basically talk about our next topic, which I don't have entirely, I know I have it somewhere. I don't have it at the top of my head right now, but next week I'll be here live and I will post the reminder for you all to join me live again. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I hope to see you all later. Bye.